Hey everybody, thank you for watching this video. This is going to be a little different. You're probably used to me talking about a comic book or a set of comic books. Today I'm going to talk about our comic book company. First, I should introduce myself. My name is Alan Liska, and I'm the owner of Green Archer Comics, and today is our 1 year anniversary, or at least the 1 year anniversary of us filing the LLC paperwork. So, in the eyes of the world, it's our 1 year anniversary. And I want to talk a little bit about what running a comic book company in 2024 is like and how it's going, and um, hopefully start some conversations. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe nobody will watch it. We'll see. Uh, so, like I said, we filed for our LLC 1 year ago today. But of course, the company got started a little bit earlier than that. We started off with for me, a wildly successful Kickstarter to fund the first issue of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. And even before the start of the Kickstarter, there were months of getting the art and everything together to get that to work. So really, it goes back even further than that. But what happened was we realized had an idea on our hands and we needed to have a real company to go along with it. And so we did. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect. We had this idea of taking a character from the 50s who really had disappeared from a lot of people's mind, this radio serial of this, freelance insurance investigator, and bringing him into the modern age as freelance cyber insurance investigator dealing with ransomware attacks. So, as I like to joke when I talk to people, our target audience was the intersection of the Venn diagram between old-time radio fans and people who don't like ransomware. And I thought that was going to be a really small niche. It turned out to be bigger than we thought. In fact, Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar #1 remains our biggest seller with more than 1,300 copies sold. More than that if you count the Kickstarter fulfillments, etc. So that's pretty amazing. And it's allowed us to do so much more. So over the last year, in addition to Johnny Dollar #1, we have Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar #2, #3, and we just released #4 last month, and we are working on the trade paperback for those collected issues, plus including a Christmas special in there. We also came out with an anthology of comics submitted by people in the cybersecurity industry, people that we paid to do the art and write the script and everything else, and produce comics by and for the cybersecurity industry. And then, of course, our namesake, Green Archer, we have Green Archer #0. And later today or tomorrow, we're going to send the Press Guardian to print issue #1 of the Press Guardian to print. So that will be 6 comics so far in the year. Seventh comic basically finished. We're running through some last minute edits. And then we have the second issue of the Press Guardian coming out. And we're about a third of the way through of our first issue of the clock. And I'm hoping to get that out this year as well. So it's been, in terms of production, really successful. What does that mean in terms of money? Because, of course, everybody turns into videos like this because you want to know, well, how much money you make running a comic book company. So over the last year, we've made $32,082, plus another $11 since our YouTube channel's been monetized. So thank you all for watching our YouTube videos and, putting enough money to get a 10-piece chicken nuggets in our pocket. Uh, 22,288 of that has come from Kickstarter. Kickstarter's been incredibly helpful for us in getting these off the ground. But our Kickstarters generally don't cover the full cost of the comic. So we pay between $100 and $200 a page, depending on the artist and their skill level, etc. And then, of course, extra for covers, plus we pay a letterer, we pay an editor. And then my brother Ben, hi Ben, if you're watching, does some editing for free for us as well, which we really appreciate. Um, and so it cost us about $6,000 to make each issue of our comics, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. So, if you do the math, six times 6,000 roughly, and you see that we're at 32,000 in total revenue, you know, already you can see that we're not making a lot of money in profit because it takes a while to actually turn a profit on each comic book. And that's expected, right? We think it'll take about a year before we actually make all the money back on each comic. That's even with Kickstarter. Because $6,000 covers the art for the comic, but then there's the printing costs and cost of the website, cost of everything else that you have to do to run a business. We're very fortunate that, we can afford to float some of those costs until they come in. The other thing that's been really interesting to me is I thought we'd make the comic, put it up on the website, and then people would come to the website and they would buy the comic. It's not where most of our sales come through. Most of our sales come from spending the weekend at comic book conventions. And we've done six of those this year. Yeah, six of those this year, starting with Awesome Con in DC in February. Then uh, we did Big Lit Comic Con here in Northern Virginia, and then also Big Lit Comic Con in Nova. We went up and did Hershey Comic Con. And then our local comic book store does a thing they call LotCon twice a year. We've done that, and those have been the most successful in terms of, sales per hour for us. So, and then of course, the end of this month, Baltimore Comic Con is going to be the biggest con that we've had a table at. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. But that is where we get a lot of our sales. Also, because our comics are cybersecurity focused, we did uh, a local cybersecurity convention, SleuthCon, where we had a table and sold our comics there. That was also really successful for us, but it's a little different because most people that go to cybersecurity conferences expect everything at a table to be free. There are giveaways, and so we had to slap people's hands a little bit and let them know, no, got to pay for the comics. On the other hand, we could tell people, hey, if you buy it for your colleagues, you can expense it. So basically, it's free. Um, and I want to thank everybody that has supported us across the five Kickstarters that we've done. Everybody who watches these videos, yeah, we've only been monetized for 90 days, but I didn't think we'd ever get monetized. And yet, we have almost 3,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. And, every now and then we get a video that, pops off and, gets a couple thousand views on it. So we get to stay monetized, and I appreciate that. And I also want to thank everybody that's offered their advice over the year. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Awesome Comics podcast and the Slack community that they've built because I've learned so much from there, but also from the other local creators. There's so many local creators in the Northern Virginia area who I've gone to it for advice, talked to, and really learned a lot from. And then the artists that we work with, I learned so much from them, how to do this, how to, make a comic book company. most of them aren't sure how to make a niche comic book company, but we've managed to stumble our way through it. And I really, really want to thank my wife, Chris, because this has been a lot, right? One, going to her and saying, "Hey, I'm going to take some money out of our savings to make a comic book, and then hopefully we'll get that money back," and slowly re-putting that money back in our savings. Um, and telling her, "Hey, we're gonna go to comic book conventions now, so we're gonna spend a weekend in Hershey, we're gonna spend a weekend in Baltimore, we're gonna spend a weekend in Roanoke." um she gets to see me so little because I travel so much for my day job. And let's be clear, having your own comic book company doesn't mean you get to quit your day job. I'm sure there are people who have very much done that and are very successful with that. And maybe one day I'll get there, but we're nowhere close to that. So I still have to do my day job and try and manage and run this comic book company. And so to add that to her, and for her to be so amazingly understanding and come and join us and sit at the table and help sell comic books and make sure that I don't spend the whole weekend on my phone, has been really helpful. And again, if you're watching this and you're a fan of our comics or a fan of our YouTube channel or just stumbled across it and hopefully become a fan, thank you so much. Could not do this without you. And we're going to continue to push our way through. We have some really cool things planned for 2025. Do a video on that later. We've got some interesting titles that I think should be a lot of fun. And I want to continue to, now that we've got the first issue of the Press Guardian out and we're working on that second issue, I want to continue that through the four issues. And I also want to thank all of the amazing artists and collaborators that I've worked with over the last year. Seda Timofonte, who's done our lettering and design and is like, comic Yoda, just with her brilliant insights has been incredible. We have Brandon Crowther, who's done all of the editing and really helps tighten the scripts, especially the first script, where I was trying to write a technical book and he helped turn it into a comic book. And everybody else that's out there that I cannot thank enough for helping us get to this point. So I hope you'll continue to follow along as we kind of figure out what we're doing. The next thing that we're going to tackle and kind of a big thing that we're struggling with is how do you market? How do you market niche comics in a world that's flooded with ads for everything else? How do we get that attention? And that's kind of the next thing that we have to do, but we'll continue growing and hopefully this time next year, instead of a $32,000 in revenue, it'll be 40,000, and we'll just keep going from there a little bit at a time. So again, thank you all very much, and thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.